Mino Line Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Aline. I am your host, and today in studio we have Miss Sabrina Lamb, who is the founder and CEO of two financial education tech companies, World of Money, which we talked to her about in 2024. Learning the Lessons of Money was the name of that interview, if you'd like to go check it out. And Wekeza, which is the first Black women-owned global investing app that delivers multilingual financial education and access to U.S. stocks and exchange-traded funds for as little as $1. I've known Sabrina for a very long time. She's a very dear friend. She has many other talents, and that we can talk about on this during this interview. But the products that we are going to be talking about today specifically, I know that her passion in all that she does is in an effort to close the wealth gap through applicable education. And so we're excited, particularly in this day and time that we're living in, with all the challenges. Here is an opportunity through these programs to be able to change how we think about money and to participate more fully in this economy. So welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you so much for having me, Sonia.
Yes. So tell us the inspiration behind. So just to remind people, you were on last year in 2024, depending on when anybody is listening to this. But in 2024, you were on to talk to us about World of Money, which was a long time project of yours where you worked with young children, not even, I should say, children into young adulthood. In terms of understanding what money is, how to use it, how to invest it, how to save it, and how to build wealth for their families. And Wekeza has grown out of that. And so what was really the spark that started this new company?
Well, I was minding my own business.
Sabrina was also a comedian in a former life, okay? So, all right.
So I was in Nairobi, Kenya. I was speaking at a conference, financial matter conference, and I was meeting with educators in Kenya, meeting with regulators, families, teaching at the University of Nairobi. And I was trying to understand what were the barriers for Kenyans to receive financial education and to access investing in their stock market, the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And I heard all of the hurdles. For example, it's not in our language. It's not in Swahili. That is my native language, they would say. Or I don't have all of the money to purchase a full share of a well-known company. I don't have the money to pay a high commission to a local stockbroker. And then there may or may not be enough Kenyan publicly traded companies that I could diversify my opportunities to do that. And so I started to look around and I said, wow, this is something that kind of needs to be solved. And I have to tell you, Sonia, when I started having the vision started to grow inside of me with the word called Wekeza, which means save and invest in Swahili, people, and they still do, people would look at me like I had four heads. What do you mean a Kenyan investing in U.S. publicly traded companies? What do you mean in Nigeria? There's regulatories cross-border. Man, it's 2025 and it is running rampant all over Africa. There is a dismantling of those barriers. They still exist in certain countries. Some countries say you could only invest here, or you still have to go through those norms. But Wekeza was created, and it's live on all the app stores. Please download the app, where it's to serve. We're the first Pan-African fintech to serve the African diaspora here in the United States as well in African countries. And then in 2026, we're marching into the Caribbean. And of course, there's a huge population of those of African descent in Europe and in Canada. So we're serving everyone there. And the purpose, the driving mission of Wekeza is to turn on the economic lights for everyone of African descent. I'll just drill down a little bit about that multilingual. So I was speaking with one of our value Wekeza members yesterday, and he lives in Tanzania. And so he wanted me to walk him through. There were some questions he had, but he spoke very little English. And so here in the West, we often think, well, everybody speaks English, right? No, he speaks Swahili. Swahili is in Tanzania, a predominant language in Tanzania as well. So thank goodness for Google Translate, because as he was on my screen on Zoom, I was able to walk him through that. That is not only leveraging the power of technology, but really including people and not excluding people based upon their culture or their language.
Yeah. Why was it important for you to do a Pan-African platform for trading and investing?
I'm Black. But really, I am. I'm predominantly Black, Sonia. And I've always been connected to us, no matter where we are. I mean, I've spent time and have dear friends in African countries, and I see myself as a friend of wherever we are on this rock called Earth. Because I was born here in the United States does not mean I'm just American and that's it. No. And the power that we have by linking hands economically, we are everything that we need if we just hold hands and then share the resources to be able to achieve that economic liberation.
Yeah. I asked you that question and I'd like you to expound on it, because there has been a lot of dialogue around whether we should be linking hands or whether we should be identifying regionally, like Africans in Africa, Caribbeans in Caribbean, and founding Black Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was watching something today, and the dialogue in the comments was really disturbing. All the fighting back and forth about whether or not we should be linking, or whether you should, as somebody literally said, mind your business. I'm an American. You don't know about my experience. And so for you to have created this platform, I'd like you to expound on why that's important, that, like you say, we link globally and work together to support each other wherever we are, whatever shade of Black we are, across the globe.
It's really sad. It's really sad. And at this time in our collective existence, we can't afford to turn anyone away. And the way that America is giving us guidance, you're not so American. I don't know where they got that from. I just don't know where they got that from. And so you're American, but you're American-ish, right? And I just think it's really rude to deny as much tragic circumstances those that have born here in America have experienced economically. Tulsa, all the Tulsas of the United States and the world. We have the audacity to deny and to look down and to slander the value of someone else's life who is also of African descent. And I'm saying that even those that are born here or born on the continent, and those that say, no, I'm 10 toes down, I'm American, I'm not even, some will even say I'm not even African. That's fine. In the meanwhile, Sabrina and everybody else, with Wekeza and friends, we're gonna be over here.
Right.
So, and I just want to know, what does that get you? What's the end game of having those kind of attitudes? And then with the decisions that have been made, have been constructed for the last 20 years, we have arrived at the point we are in this country economically. we can't afford this. We really can't afford it. And those entities, those people that have constructed those economic systems right now, whether that's layoffs, firing, all that sort of thing, they look and say, look at them. Look at them. And every other person that's been brought to this country from different country. I was meeting with a friend last week. He's from his family immigrated here. We didn't immigrate. I know we were dragged here, but immigrated here from Greece. He still has an allegiance to, or I'm Greek. I'm American, but I'm Greek. And I understand. You understand, I'm sure. I know you do, Sonia, that there's different interruptions that we've experienced here, but now it's to reclaim our connection to each other. I'm not saying you got to move anybody in your house. I'm just saying let's honor each of us.
Yeah. And I think that's the big piece, right? At least just have honor and respect for all of our experiences, but we all are at the root, at the soul of it all. We are connected, and we need to be able to support each other, not just in the music and the song and the dance and the art, but financially and economically. It's time to do that as well.
Absolutely.
One of the great pieces of your, or one of the functions of the app is that it's multilingual, but it's not in traditional languages, or I should say languages that people might expect. And so what are some of the languages that the app is available in?
English, French, Hausa, Twi, Wolof, Zulu, Swahili, and then soon Igbo from Nigeria. Are we going to add additional languages? Sure, but I think that's a great start.
That is an amazing start. What has been some of the responses that you've received so far from international folks and from people here in the U.S.?
So my friend Vangeli in Wawa, she is South African. She's a financial educator advocate in South Africa. When I told her that the app was in Zulu, you just click Zulu and then you're like, oh, and so when those that know that the financial education, financial inclusion, economic liberty is important, the way that we really speak to the soul of people is to honor their culture and their traditions and languages. My friend Vangeli, she speaks English, but when we're communicating in Zulu, that opens up another thing. And then my other friend, she is from Nafisa. She's from Ethiopia, and my conversations with her I learned so much. Number one, in her culture, in her language, there's no such thing. There's no word, rather, called financial independence, Sonia. And that's why many economic decisions in her Harar culture in Ethiopia are done collectively as a community. And so sometimes we approach this thing called financial education. It's the West, and you should have credit, and you should have budget and everything. But if that's not part of your culture, then that financial liberation needs to be approached in a different way. And that's why each African country receives from different parts of the diaspora, at least $80 billion in remittances, sending money home. What if here in America, that the African Americans born here or what have you sent 10% of their income to a local organization that serves their community in sort of like a microcosm of what's done in terms of remittances by those who were born on the continent. What a powerful dynamic that would be. But I'm saying $80 billion is sent home to each African country by those who live abroad. What if we in America did that? sent money down the street to the food kitchen, to the organization that serves Black people. Well, what if? What if?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I love about your programs is that it's not just about the education. You always want to make it applicable. You want people, you want to move people or inspire people to actually take the steps to be more financially responsible and to try and understand how to build wealth. You made investing on this app where you can start with as little as $1. And
Yes.
so that I know that was purposely done. Talk to us about that as well, why that was important.
So again, in the vision, going back to the early vision for Wekeza, I wanted the beautiful market lady who is probably resting her feet right now in Accra, Ghana, as she prepares to carry fruit on her head and sell it in the middle of traffic. I want her to have the same access to investing as the teacher in Houston or Atlanta or in Lagos. Same access. And in fact, we're waiving the dollar a trade, dollar a month until December 31st. We want everybody to just come on in, and then January, they'll, dollar a month, a dollar a trade. But I want her and him to have the same access and not be denied by your economic status. I'm determined that Wekeza will serve the so-called 99% majority of the economic pyramid on this planet. And that's what Wekeza is for.
Yeah. I know you've made several trips to the continent. What are, I was going to say the challenges, but maybe it's not the challenges. How do you get to see the person who is struggling to put food on the table, selling fruit or goods in traffic, the importance of taking whatever is equivalent to $1 and investing it in in an app like
Mm-hmm.
Wekeza?
Mm-hmm. So just similarly with the conversation that I was having with Mohammed in Tanzania yesterday via Zoom, no matter your culture or your language, everyone in their heart dreams, yearns to have financial liberty. Everyone, no matter where they live on this planet, everyone dreams of that, but they don't have the mechanism why or how. And so my goal or job, so to speak, or mission is not to say, well, you're selling fruit here, in traffic, and I make sure I'm saying that in not a judgmental way. That is
Right.
her
No,
culture. That is her business.
absolutely.
Everyone has
Absolutely.
a job,
Right.
in Africa. The job is not getting a job. The job is
Right.
creating their business. That's her
Right.
business. But to show her, not only show her, listen to her first.
Mm. Listen
Listen.
first.
Listen first, and to see exactly what are your financial goals, because her financial goals may be acquiring or saving money for her child's school fees, or to buy seeds, to grow plants for his farm. So before we walk in and, well, you should do this, and the Westerns, we know
Right.
everything.
We love how to tell people what to do.
We'll be right back after this message.
In the meantime, listen and say
Yeah.
nothing, and to hear. And then, you can say what this is, but I was meeting, I met rather a group of Kenyans who have immigrated to United States in Oklahoma. And when I shared with them Wekeza, oh, Wekeza?
Wow.
Because they know what that means.
Yeah.
They know what the word means. That is their word.
Wow.
And to have a woman who's in America to speak their word, I'm speaking to their soul.
Right.
So it's, in fact, this thing called money aligning with one of the most powerful currencies on the planet besides love or your religion or spiritual practice is really soul work. And I
Mm.
learned that from children who attend World of Money every year, when they would say, some would say, not all, some would say that they didn't believe that their life had value, that this is not anything that Black people did. So they fill the emptiness in their souls with consumerism to feel better. And then they buy that shiny thing, and then that dissipates, and then they have to fill the emptiness again.
Yeah.
And so it also aligns with what their parents do often. Wrote a book, Do I Look Like an ATM? For parents that are filling the emptiness in their soul, trying to catch up what they didn't receive, what they did receive,
Right.
using money maybe as leverage with the parent, everything. But this is really soul work. And as I always say, we won't save a
Mhm.
nickel unless we believe our life is worth saving. And
Mm.
I don't believe enough of us, and I'm working on this continuing. I'm continuing to
Right.
work on it myself. If until we believe that, we won't save anything. We won't save a nickel because we have to fill that emptiness continuously, you know. And so the first approach with the dear noble woman who is resting her feet right now in
Mhm.
Accra, preparing for tomorrow, is first honoring her, the value of her life, and she's not, asking for anything. She's just selling. She's operating her business.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, your work with World of Money has been, I'm sure, a great data collection source because many of us don't really understand our emotional, and I think we may understand some cultural, there's some cultural things that we say and understand regularly, like we weren't taught or we weren't connected or we didn't know or our parents didn't know or they don't teach you that in school. And so there's certain things that we say regularly and that we understand. But there's so much more to our connection to you, as you're saying, like spiritually and and emotionally, that a lot of us still have not even addressed. We think we understand, but we haven't really addressed it. Does that still fascinate you?
It
The
does.
discovery?
And I overstand. Who wants to budget? Who wants to budget,
Yeah.
Sonia? I mean, who wants to diet? Who wants to do any of that? Who wants to deny themselves of fun? And
Mm.
so who wants to have
Yeah.
a root canal? And sometimes looking at our own
Yeah.
financial reality is like dieting,
It's like,
budgeting, or a root canal. I
yeah.
understand that. But facing our financial reality is also liberating because from there, that's where we build. For
Right.
years, my father, military man, great dad, provider, but his whole role was we don't talk about this thing called money.
Right.
And I said, that's fine, just as long as I can get some.
Right.
And, and
Right.
really, I was the financial sociopath in the family. And that's why, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And that's why I understand and have great relationships with children because
Mm.
I know you. And listen, I was you. And they know how long to pout to get what they want. They know all of it. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
when in my relationships with children and listening to what they say and really turning on their financial self-confidence and explaining to them what the benefit of receiving early financial education and how that it can impact their life long term, then you get their attention because they love money,
Yeah.
but they've been using it to drain the nerves and the financial resources of their children because of their parents, because they will never ask their parents, do you have a financial safety net, mom, dad? They will never say that. And
Yeah.
so, because they're
Yeah.
sociopaths, they just don't have any empathy, really. I mean, they care a little bit, but don't go ask to move in with them.
Right.
but the facing the reality in those in my book, I write about the different archetypes, financial archetypes, and it was written
Right.
in phrased in terms with parents. It was from the dictator, don't talk to me about this. This is grown folks' business, to the saboteur that feels powerful in sabotaging their own
Mm.
financial life because they know someone's going to rescue them. The savvy person that gets it, understands it, aligns with their
Yeah.
self confidence. The victim, the victim archetype. I know the government's going to come and rescue me. And so during this
Yeah.
time, particularly what I'm reading, what's happening from a federal government standpoint, we have a great opportunity to look ourselves in it's squarely in the face and say I have to be totally responsible, because there are going to be no safety nets, zero
Mm.
economic safety nets, just like it is in African countries. There's no economic safety
Right.
nets. That's why people are
Yeah.
selling or buying or weaving or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, th- that was a lot. There was, and we talked about this. We talked about this in our last interview, but I do think it's worth bringing up here as well. What are some of the things that children have said to you? Because you've had children who have grown with your program, and what are some of the things that they have said when they entered, and how that has changed when they graduated?
Mm. Number one, when the first moment that they would come into the classroom, their body posture would change when we would have them to recite daily wealth affirmations. I think like a millionaire. I have a millionaire mind. And to teach them about African billionaires. Okay, the overwhelming majority of African billionaires are on the continent of Africa, because they feel a great deal of shame that we're supposed to be the poor people. I said, let me show you some billionaires and millionaires and how they grew their businesses out of nothing, living on a dirt farm someplace in South Africa or where have you. And
Mm.
so, and then, teaching them that history, and then I actually see their body postures change. And the child who was resentful of their parents for enrolling them at World of Money suddenly is the first one out the door. And the parents are saying, I don't know who that child is, you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm really proud of. And
Mhm.
the children who are now young adults, and some of them are even parents, and I've
And
formed
some have gotten
friendships.
married. Yes, some have graduated and gone on to start their own families.
I have children who are 7 years old, bring it in the ice bucket. But I'm so proud of them, because what they've done, Sonia, they've applied what they learned early in life to their lives.
Mhm.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think of Monica Sayomi, who's a real estate broker, homeowner, owns 3 buildings, two in the Bronx, one in
Wow.
Illinois, and is just doing it, applied every morsel. I've known her since she was probably 12 years old. And so
Wow.
she saved her money. She doesn't pay any rent, because who does it? Because her tenants pay her rent. She lives in the building. Love
Mhm.
it. I love it. The ones that have applied this very powerful information to their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I both went to Tulsa separately for the first time last year, and we've discussed our transformative um, experience there, having gone through Black Wall Street and seeing what that was. We've both said that that is something that every American should go through Tulsa, to go through that Black Wall Street tour and to see what that looks like, to see what economic cooperation looks like without government support, with laws that are against you, and government laws that were constructed to make sure that you don't do well, right? That you don't thrive. But you also went back to do a program. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Very honored that Wekeza, my fintech, financial technology, it's the short for that, was accepted into an accelerator where we received an investment and experienced a 3-week training program to grow our business, to further grow our business, meeting with mentors, daily instruction, culminated in a demo day. But my acceptance in moving to Tulsa for 3 months wasn't about, I'm here for 3 months and then I'm out. My determination was to form enduring partnerships as well as friendships in the Tulsa community, and so I provided workshops for students. Have a school partner in Tulsa, McLean High School. Love that, and yes, I did the tour, but also drove around and heard from those that have lived there and their ancestors lived their experience what happened in Tulsa. And I just always like to remind everyone that that was Tulsa, but there are other Tulsas
Yeah,
around the
throughout.
country, even here
Absolutely.
in New York. Just made, a
Hmm.
little different, but it is. I mean, they just found today about 80 more remains from people with, often some of them
Wow.
had gunshots to their head in Tulsa. So they're still
It's
experiencing
still.
the emotional trauma from what happened in
Mm,
1922, and definitely economically, and then the lawsuits with those who are of African descent,
yes.
and then
Yeah.
the legal court cases for when their
Yeah.
land was stolen by the Creek Indians, and how just all these years they were finally able to get some sort of compensation for that. So there was fighting not only the federal government, the
Government.
local government, but also the Native Americans. The
Mm,
Cherokees, were always doors open, and I love the kind of reparations that friends of mine that are African Americans, but their ancestors could trace back to the Cherokees, and they have
mhm.
Cherokee benefits, meaning free health
Right.
care,
Yeah.
very low interest, all that sort of thing. So some of us may think, well, that happened a long time ago. Well, the trauma
Yeah.
still
Still
exists.
exists.
And I went back and taught some middle school children
Mm,
and in Tulsa, and I could feel them feeling that trauma from
wow.
1922 and had to build their self
Yeah.
confidence that they are absolutely aligned with this
Yeah.
powerful currency called money and entrepreneurship.
For someone who is new to investing, if they open the app, just give us a quick guide in terms of what they should look for, how they should approach it, and how they can get started even today.
Sure, we'll download the app. It's on both app stores. It'll kind of guide you, to opening your brokerage account, going through the KYC, AML very quickly, just holding up your smiling face to the phone. So we have to
Mhm.
verify whoever it is.
Right.
But again, it's zero cost. You can choose the kind of companies, whether that's an ETF, it's sort of like a mutual fund, low risk. But I always emphasize it's not about, it's not. I know there are day traders that are in and out of stocks. I
Right.
say based upon the research, and we have the multilingual financial education in there to talk to you about what you should think about in terms of holding on to a company long term. Those that succeed by doing the research
Right.
and then holding on to a particular stock because they've researched it, benefit financially over years. And
Right.
so, and then we'll have soon, I'll be announcing live online community forums, definitely office hours. You have any questions at all. So, Wekeza is not just an app, It's a community
It's
with
a
live
community.
people that are here to support you, even legally, if you want or need, estate planning, support or guidance or whatever. We have, an attorney, Lily, in Kochobor. She is, a real estate, not real estate, sorry, estate planning attorney. So we have all those support. So it's a global community, United States,
Right.
as well as Africa. And then we're going into the Caribbean in 2026.
In 2026. So 9 countries in Africa. And then you said, and even Europe will be a consideration down the line
Well, it's
as
already
well.
accessible to anyone in Europe. Yes. But I'm
Okay.
just
All
saying
right.
in terms of the growth or the biggest response is from Kenya. I understand because they know what that word means, followed by Nigeria and Ghana, Tanzania, and then Senegal is part of Wekeza as well, and definitely South Africa.
What next is after you launch in the Caribbean in 2026? What do you see for Wekeza's future?
So we are soon. We're going to be announcing remittances. So if you want to or need to send money home, you can do that through the Wekeza app. No high fees. And that idea came to me when I was reading an article, Financial Times.
Wow.
If I wanted to send $100 to my aunt in Accra, I may have to spend $50 to send that money.
Yeah.
Very low, because again, I'm thinking about the market lady. I'm thinking about the teacher in Brooklyn who just wants to send money home, and we want home to get as much money as possible. So we'll be announcing that this quarter. And if you're hearing this in 2026, it's already available.
Okay. And where can people follow you, keep up with you? And of course, we know to download the app, but where can they follow your progress?
Well, I'll be outside.
Everywhere.
So Instagram, Miss MS Sabrina Lamb, Facebook, my public page, and I'm also on LinkedIn. So everyone, please download the Wekeza app.
You can spell it for us, please. Wekeza.
Wekeza,
which is Swahili for invest.
And save.
And save.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Sabrina.
And thank you, Sonia.
Yeah, I love your passion and your drive. And I know it hasn't been easy, but I'm really, really proud and really excited for you and all the work that you've done so far in this space.
Thank you. Spread the word. Tell everyone to download the app and create an account. Don't just download the app. Create an account. It's all free. And we're here to answer any questions you may have. Just reach out through the app.
Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again next week with another great guest. Take care.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Aline. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Old Line Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Old Line Media. Get the Mean Old Line Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.